Okay, so today we're going to be going over how to disassemble the Ohio Ordinance 1918 A3 self-loading rifle trigger assembly. I've gotten a lot of requests for this, so bear with me. I'm not really set up to do these type of videos, but I'm going to try and knock this one out while I'm waiting for dance class to get over. Like I said, this is the 1918 Ohio Ordinance self-loading rifle trigger assembly. I've gotten a lot of requests on how to disassemble it and replace this selector switch here. This is the stamped selector switch, more of a post World War II item. You're going to want the milled selector switch. So first thing you're going to want to do is kind of gather your tools. I got a pair of pliers, a narrow flathead screwdriver, and an Allen key, and various pin punches. You're also going to need some smaller punches so that you can assemble this thing without committing murder. All right, so first thing you're going to want to do is take these two Allen keys out, these Allen screws out. This is a standard size Allen key here, and I don't recall the size of it, but I know a 3.5 millimeter Allen key will work also if you happen to have one. But there is a standard size, and it's not written on here, but I can't remember off the top of my head what size it is. It's like a 5/32, if I'm not mistaken. So you take these two retaining screws out. They're kind of small, so don't lose them. And then you're gonna want to hold this hammer down and take your 1/8 punch and punch this pin out right here. Holding everything down, punch the pin all the way through, and then you can grab the other end of it with your pliers, pull it out, set that aside, and then make sure you're holding the hammer down when you pull the pin out, punch out. You hear that click? That's the spring. Pull the trigger, and the hammer will release. Now remember, it's under spring tension, so you don't want it to go flying everywhere. Your hammer comes out, hammer spring and hammer plunger come out. Then this assembly right here is held in by a pin right down here. Now if you have, this is how they come from Ohio Ordinance. They drill this hole right here when they manufacture these assemblies. Some assemblies, if they're made by somebody else or made from a USGI 1918 or 1918 A2 trigger assembly, they may or may not have this hole here. But you want to punch that pin out, pull it through, pull your punch out. Now that's what holds this assembly, your trigger, and your sear release. Take all those components out. Then you've got your safety spring back here. Take a flathead and just stick it under there, and that slides out. It's interesting, this is actually the sear spring that they cut down. Originally it goes up on this side of the assembly right here. You can tell that this is a an Ohio Ordinance manufactured trigger frame, because it doesn't have the slots for this to slide in right here, but they use this to be the safety spring. Now, so they have taken the stamped selector switch and drilled a hole in it with another pin. Take your pliers, and that pin should pull out, and that's what allows you to remove the stamped selector. And then you can go ahead and install the I don't have a milled one here with me, but you can install the milled selector. And I'm fairly certain it's that pin, I don't know why they put that in there, but you know, the milled ones that you get, unless somebody took the time to drill the hole and put the pin back in, it's not gonna be there, and it's not really needed. So after that, after you put your milled selector in, put your safety spring back in, lift that up over the edge, slide it back into its slot. See, and that is held in there no problem. It's I don't think it's going anywhere, but we'll see. I've never done this conversion. And then you want to take these your trigger and your sear release, and it's got a little dimple there that goes into this spring. You want to slide that down in there. Now this is where you need these extra sacrificial pins. So you want to hold it so that you can slide one in there. Now you want to have a pin that is the length of the trigger itself. You don't want it to stick out of the end. So get that down in there, slide your pin in, make sure that it is fully secured in there. And like I said, you don't want it to protrude on either end, because you're going to have to slide it in there and slide another pin through to hold it in place. Now you've got these springs that are machined into the assembly here, and they can be kind of a pain to get in place. I've seen them without the springs. I'm not really, I'm supposed to just return the trigger. Majority of them have these springs though. I've only seen one without the milled holes for the springs, but they're very delicate. You want to just put them in there, slide the trigger back into its spot. Now you're going to need another pin to hold the trigger and the sear release into this this trigger assembly here. So you've got another pin that is the same width of that assembly, so that once again it won't slide through. Push that through, and you can also use one of your other smaller punches. Like I said, it's got to go in there just right. So now that we've got that assembly back together, you can put these screws back in the back. Drop one. So the trick to that was to wiggle the trigger and the sear release at the same time and push the pin through, which you can see how much of a pain in the butt that was. So now you want to reinstall the hammer. Hammer slides in here. Get your hammer pin, line all those holes up. Find the hole. Slide that pin back in. Get your hammer all the way up. Alright. Now your plunger and your hammer spring go down into the back of this assembly, and you're going to want to push it as far down as you can with your fingers and kind of hold it down in there with your thumb. Take that flathead screwdriver, and you're going to want to pry the end of that plunger up and get behind the lip of that hammer and slide it into place. Pull the screwdriver out, and then your hammer should catch back. Pull the trigger. I'm going to put this pin back in here that we lost. The mag release. Alright. And so there, everything's back assembled. Safety works. Trigger works. Now, since you've had these pins out, you're going to want to make sure that you keep an eye on them, that they're not sliding out, and you don't lose them, because they will fall directly out. So hopefully that helps. I know it's a pain in the butt. I am willing to do them for you. If you want to ship me the parts, I'll do it and ship it back to you. Just give me a shout on Facebook, and I'll get you all squared away. Thanks.